A big thank you to Erman Plumbing for sponsoring this series. Erman is a local generational company who believes in giving back to their community through sponsoring local events, volunteering on not-for-profit boards, and for sponsoring civic dialogues such as this, because the Ermans believe that a healthy community is good for everyone. Hello and thank you so much for watching. I'm Eric Jingles, and this is one of our interviews with the mayoral candidates for the city of Moncton. Right now we have with us Charles Legier, who is a longtime councillor of Ward 2. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you for having me, and welcome.
Yeah, no, I'm very pleased you're here. How long have you been a councillor at Ward 2?
So I've been a councillor in Ward 2 for 14 years, so 3 terms.
Wow. Yeah, you've seen a lot. Okay, as I'd mentioned before that I had opened this up to people on social media to send in their questions. I kind of amalgamated some of the questions. There were a lot, close to 50, I'd say, that came in. We boiled it down to about 15 under 3 categories, that being infrastructure, governing, and public safety. So we'll just get right to it. Charles, you ready?
Sure.
Here we go. We're going to start off with smells. A lot of people complain in the North End about the smell that comes from the waste recycling facility that's up that way. And a lot of people in the New West End are complaining about the smell that comes from Organigram. Now, what are your plans or what are your ideas to help alleviate both of those?
Well, the idea with respect to the smells in the North End are definitely linked to the activity related to composting and managing solid waste from sewage treatment that is occurring. And I think more and more we're aware that the smells are evident. And in the future, we need to figure out ways to treat our own waste. And one of the things I think that we need to focus on sooner than later is going to be the creation of what they call an anaerobic digester. It's a building that basically allows you to process your solid waste. Currently, I think half of that waste is being transported to another community where they also create compost. But that would be the long-term solution for our growing community, and to manage that waste in a way that would reduce the smells or completely eliminate them, because of the fact that you can create filters or add filters on the building, and that should alleviate the problem. That being said, Organigram has filters, and they have a number of mitigating technology, but something is apparent in terms of the increased odors that are occurring in the West End. And so certainly I think that the city needs to have a better conversation, that's the mayor and council, with Organigram, to see what possible solutions can be. In terms of air quality, we're told that it's within the standards, but the smell is still there. And those are issues and things that happen in other municipalities as well.
Okay. Jumping around now to the other side of the city, I guess sort of on the same side with the North End, the Magnetic Hill concert site. So that's been sitting there dormant. We've been paying a lot of money as taxpayers just to kind of upkeep it. Do you have any idea what could be done with that site, or what should we do with that site?
That's a good question. I think we need to certainly have a plan for that site, whether we could ever attract a large concert like we've had in the past. Is it a site that perhaps could be parceled out, maybe some, for example, for the zoo? I think we need to sort of look at that. I mean, certainly the Papal site is there, and that would have to be, and I strongly believe we would keep that. But we also need to have a comprehensive plan we have the Magnetic Hill, we have the Stade. So we need to really focus on what is the future. Certainly the Stade would be a better compromise, because it's about 25,000 people that you can put in the Stade. It could rain for weeks, and yet that surface will be excellent for a concert, whereas Magnetic Hill is problematic. But yes, we need to have the conversation. Maybe, there would be a usefulness in creating some affordable housing or building housing or whatever. But I think we need to have the conversation and consultations with citizens, and then make a decision.
I think that, yeah, 'cause that's been sitting a long time. And like I said, even to mow the grass, I know it's a substantial amount of money. So that adds up over a period of time for sure. Okay, now going to more the inner of the city, parking. Now, parking at Moncton Hospital has always been problematic, and we got a lot of questions regarding that. What are some of your ideas on how to fix that?
Well, I think one of the challenges has been that over the years, residents in the community have requested no parking on the streets because they felt that it was encroaching on their quality of life, and I kind of understand that. Now, of course, we see the results of that. Now, I believe both hospitals do require more parking. They require the Moncton Hospital requires a structured parking. There's no question. And the George Dumont, it's very difficult now because of the expansion of fisheries and oceans, and so all those challenges. I think in the short term, I was reflecting on that, and some of the challenges occur most or predominantly, let's say from 8 in the morning till about 1 o'clock. People are going for their appointments, for tests, and so on. And currently, the way it stands is you can park on the street, but you have to get off the street between 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. I think we could probably look at a system where maybe from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., you could park on the streets in and around the hospital, take some pressure off the hospital in terms of and pressure off patients in terms of missed appointments, delays, and so on, until such time as the parking garage solution for the Moncton Hospital moves forward, and that needs to move forward. And I think that's something that, as a municipality, we need to be in conversations with the Horizon for this one for sure, and see what can be done. But it has to happen. I mean, the hospital isn't moving, and so we need to find some short-term solutions, and then the long-term solution, which is the parking garage.
From what I understand, the parking garage has had pushback from the residents. Is that a fact or is that not?
In the past, it did. Yes, there was a plan to build a parking garage. I think directly across, really, from almost a little bit away from the emergency department, across the street. But yet there was a lot of pushback. I think it's like anything else, that it comes around again, and the time, I believe, is that we need to move forward, and perhaps with a different plan and a different location. But bottom line is we certainly need a structure.
At this point, would you say it would be a city-owned and run parking lot, or are we looking at something else?
No, it would be a hospital-owned and run parking lot.
Okay, so but the provincial government would have to take up the
But
tab
well,
for doing
you know
that.
what? I think I always refer back to, it's the province's responsibility, but on the other hand, it's our municipality, and so we need to figure that out, and we need to see, what are the incentives? Are there incentives that we can provide? Are there things that the city should participate in? So, but let's move a plan forward and see what the cost is, and see what we can do in terms of providing an environment of healthcare that is reasonable with respect to people being able to access their appointments and so on.
Okay. Next, this is already come and gone, but somebody asked, and it did generate some conversation online, is fluoridation of the water. Are we going to keep it out, or is there any thoughts of adding it back in?
There are no thoughts to my knowledge of adding it back in. However, if it was something that residents felt they wanted to revisit and they wanted that to happen, certainly moving that forward to the next city council and mayor is certainly something that they could do.
Okay. And the big one is, how do you plan to balance the demand on infrastructure with the growth of the city? Because we're looking at water supply, getting the water out there, all that kind of stuff. That's each apartment building that goes in, that the taller it gets, has a lot of draw on water. And of course, we've seen drier and drier summers. So how do you think you can balance that?
Well, it's interesting. We have been balancing our water usage in Moncton quite well with the water meters. Even with the amount of growth that we've seen in these years, the water consumption rate in terms of increase has been relatively. There's been increases, but there were no spikes. What I would like to see is a conversation with Riverview and Dieppe to look at metering water in residences in both those communities. If we're really serious about the environment and serious about water conservation, then I think that is a conversation we need to have. And I do believe that we need to have a water conservation strategy all the time. And, we didn't ask people to conserve water last summer, and it was one of the warmest summers that we had. So I think we need to really have a plan and say, it's everyone's responsibility. And, we were lucky. We, as a municipality, are in a good position, 3 municipalities now, because we have surface water that we draw from. We know that the water tables, on the other hand, are quite low now and throughout the province, and there probably will be wells that will go dry. So we have to, be good stewards and see how we can best manage this. And I think that is something that the Tri community needs to do with the cooperation of all our residents.
Now, I know they've added the second reservoir quite a while ago, but is there any plans or hints of adding perhaps a third or expanding anything what we have now?
That I don't know, but I know that currently that when the 2 dams are full, they hold approximately 12 to 13 billion liters of water. We use 1 billion liters of water a month. So it gives us on average a full year without any precipitation whatsoever. I don't know if we'd ever get that low. But on the other hand, last September, from what I remember, we were at approximately 6 billion liters. So therefore, we had enough water for 6 months. And we saw this winter, we didn't get any near precipitation that we thought we might get. So I think, overall, perhaps, but it's more challenging now to create a dam because of the area to collect the water, because as the temperatures rise, a lot of the vegetation it sits on the bottom of that space promotes green algae blooms and all kinds. Blue-green algae blooms and so on. So it's certainly leave it to the experts. But I think we start with water conservation, and we start with trying to better understand how we reuse water, and maybe we start to promote collection of water off our roofs and stuff like that as well.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because you're right, as they may have another 6 billion or 4 billion liters left, but the lower it gets, the higher chance there is of blue-green algae blooms. And then even though filters were put in, it still can be problematic. So yeah, conservation.
Well, even just on a note, the sewage treatment facility, now what they're doing is they are reusing water that has been treated, and they're using that rather than pulling potable water from our water source, and they've reduced millions of liters of water that they use every day. So we need to look at being creative in terms of what we do.
Okay, great. Now, it said another person was asking about the north end and the planned pool, and said many residents are concerned that the facility that's being discussed is already too small for the anticipated growth in that area for use for swim clubs and schools and community programming. So if you were mayor, would you commit to ensuring that the design includes sufficient capacity to meet the demand for the next, well, they asked for 30 years. That seems like a long way out, but what are your thoughts?
The short answer is yes. If we're going to build it, and it's going to be expensive regardless, is the best time to build it is to build it now, and certainly build it for the future. So I would say yes. And sometimes we are limited by funding, but that shouldn't necessarily be the end game. We should really be looking at what do we need and how do we overcome that. So if we need larger lanes, and if we need extra land, then you have those conversations. So you build it and you build it right.
Okay.